All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, money talks, and a prime example of that is the coming expansion of the college football playoff. Today, the 11-person committee voted unanimously to expand the playoff from 4 teams to 12 teams by 2026, with the implementation coming as early as 2024. Now, the six highest ranked conference champions, along with the six at large teams, will compile the field of 12. First round games will take place on the third weekend of December, while the quarters and semis will be played in rotating bowl games. At the end of the day, for my money, this is a money grab, no pun intended, in every sense of the term. I say that because, like I've said before, how many competitive semifinal games have we gotten in the college football playoff since the system was implemented, excuse me. Not that many. With that said, we know who the two best teams are in the nation. Sometimes there's a third team that has a legitimate say as far as having an opportunity to compete for the national championship. Now you're just going to add more people to that table just for the sole reason that there's plenty of money that is being thrown around for the potential expansion. So for me, for those who are complaining about the current college football playoff being dominated by the SEC, good luck, because now you're opening the door to have three, maybe four teams from the SEC in the college football playoff each year. And when it's all said and done, the expanded college football playoff is going to be nothing more than an invitational for the soon to be 16 team SEC once you add Texas and Oklahoma, as well as the soon to be 16 team Big Ten once you add USC and UCLA to the mix. Now, with that said, college football season begins in late August and it goes through Thanksgiving for the teams that don't have a conference championship game to worry about. And with that said, that is more than enough time to see who the legit title teams are in the sport. Now, in the last 25 years, we've gone from a system where one team would win the national title without playing another title contender. Of course, the last time that came about was 1997 when Nebraska and Michigan each finished the season undefeated, but they did not play each other. Of course, Michigan was contractually obligated to compete in the Rose Bowl. They beat Washington State. And then, of course, Nebraska ran through Tennessee in the Orange Bowl. But nonetheless, since then, we had the BCS. And generally, with the BCS, there was always that third team that was complaining about not getting a title shot. Okay, we have the current 14 format. And with that said, there generally is a fifth team that is complaining about not getting a title shot. And that's not going to change with a 12-team format, like I said before, because guess what? There's now going to be a 13th team. If you go to 16 teams, there's going to be a 17th team. This thing is not going away anytime soon. Now, in the battle to get that almighty dollar while also handing out participation trophies, the college football playoff is just another system that is getting watered down, just like the play-in tournament for the NBA and the expanded postseason in Major League Baseball. And also, let's not forget about boxing, where it's very tough to keep up with how many champions there are at each weight class. So, for all of those that are posturing to include more schools in the playoff, it won't change the fact that the national championships are going to continue to be won by Alabama, by Ohio State, by Clemson, and by Georgia, as for the most part, they've been the most dominant programs in the country, in the sport, for the last 15 years. But there's the money factor. This is what this all comes down to. The networks are dangling the pot of gold, and we've never seen an athletic director or a school president that is going to say no to that. And guess what? That trend is going to continue. Now, at the end of the day, my words aren't going to go that far on this subject because guess what? The powers that be have made up their mind and they're going to do what they feel is best. But if anybody thinks for a moment that we're going to stay at 12 teams, think again because before you know it, we're going to be at 16. And before you even blink, this system could be further expanded. And before you know it, and I'm not just speaking hypothetically here, you could be talking about a system where it could rival the NCAA tournament in men's and women's basketball for how many teams are getting bids. I think this is a situation where you've had conference champions who have been beefing about not getting a shot to get to the playoff. And guess what? Just because you win your conference championship does not mean that you're good enough to make the field of four. And guess what? At the end of the day, this was the system that you agreed to. You also agreed to the fact that, hey, there's going to be a possibility that there could be multiple SEC teams in the 14 playoff. We've seen that twice. And both of those SEC teams made the national championship game. One was won by Alabama and the other was won by Georgia. But guess what? They were the two best teams in the country. And if anybody doesn't think that Alabama and Georgia were not the two best teams in the country last year, think again. So this was a system you agreed to. You also agreed to give Notre Dame a shot. And you also agreed that if a field of five or a group of five school, excuse me, was in the top four, that they would get in. And of course, Cincinnati got that invite last year and they deserved it. So again, this is the format that you agreed to. So why complain about it now? It's just hypocrisy. Like I said, you're just going to continue to water this thing down. Money talks. And at the end of the day, these kids are going to be playing 16 or 17 games soon for a college football season. So we've seen guys sit out bowl games. Would somebody sit out a playoff game? I'm not sure. You never know. I know there's a lot of money being thrown around to these kids now, but at the end of the day, they're still looking for the big bucks of the NFL. So if a player feels that he's done enough, for his body of work during the regular season, does he sit out? I don't know. I'm just speaking hypothetically on this. But nonetheless, I'm not surprised that this happened. There was too much money for the powers that be to pass up. But again, all they're doing is watering this thing down because if you watch the college football season from August to November, you get a good idea of what teams are legitimate championship contenders. There's usually only two or three that are a step above everybody else. And now we've just opened Pandora's box and let the watering down of a very good system begin. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.